said I love you. Yeah, that was nice. And you're blowing her kisses. Yeah, gentle, not in her mouth. You're holding her? He's coming. Are you excited? Buddy, kissing your sister is not a nice feeling. You say hi? Are you helping her with tummy time?
Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica. If you're new, it is so good to have you. I make content for growing families, and I'm here to talk to you today about how I survived having 2 kids under 2 years old. Now, if you want to see somebody who was surprised to have their 3rd baby, then go ahead and rewatch the video we made when we found out we were pregnant with Jules, and just count the tears that I cried. I was so shocked. I'm holding little baby Wilson. I find out I'm pregnant again. I did not want to be pregnant again. The world was shutting down because COVID was taking over the universe, and my, at that time, 4-year-old, yeah, Eloise, had to be home with us, and I was losing my mind. What I want you to know is if I can survive having 2 kids under 2, anybody can, because I did not handle that with a whole lot of grace and strength and like perseverance. We got this. I struggled, but we figured it out, and it actually wasn't terrible. There was so much goodness in it, and now that I am just freshly on the other side of it, Wilson has turned 2, Eloise just turned 6, and Juliet is 10 months old, but born 2 months early. So somewhere between the 8 and 10 month mark developmentally. We're here and we're doing it. So I'm gonna give you my tips today to help make your life easier if you are a parent who is about to experience this, or maybe you're in the thick of it and you're feeling like, oh my gosh, what do I do? What I wanna say is I'm not an expert by any means in this, but I've just done it. So think of this video as like you hanging out with a friend, or the way Becca described it, like when you're walking in the grocery store and you see another mom and she has 2 really little ones and you have 2 really little ones, and you give each other like the nod with like the compassionate eyes that are so tired and might cry. That's what this is. This is my nod to you that we can do this together. So I'm gonna lay out some tips for you. First off though, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you need more support in your parenting journey, you're gonna wanna join us on Facebook. We have a private Facebook group called Jess Hover and Friends. Though, I want to begin getting the word out right now that we are going to have something coming in a matter of weeks, actually, where we're gonna be starting to move our community over somewhere else that gives you more tools and more access to each other. And I'm super, super excited to announce that later. But if you want like first access to whatever the new thing is gonna be, you're gonna wanna be in the Facebook group. So the Facebook group is Jess Hover and Friends, and I will tell that community first what's happening to begin to move over to something way better, in my opinion. So there, if you haven't already shopped our small business, Very Good Mothers Club, well, small business, we're like, eventually it'll be a big business if enough people show up there. That's the goal. Right now it's still pretty stinking small, but we pack every order with love and care and send it right to your door. So Very Good Mothers Club, if you haven't checked that out, go for it. If you want more of my family, we're on Instagram, but I am taking this month, August, away from the platform, and it is good for my soul. I am still though accessing our business Instagram account, Very Good Mothers Club, and on that account, we frequently share other moms or other parents who are sharing quality content that's encouraging, inspiring, entertaining, like the girl, the Daily Tay, so stinking funny. I don't understand how she thinks of everything she thinks of, but we laugh very hard. So that's as much as I can tell you. If you're wondering why I look so much older, it's because my birthday was August 5th, and so that passed. And some of you send me gifts, emails, thank yous, nice messages. Somebody sent me a coffee That was so nice. Some of you sent wonderful messages, even a couple gifts, and I am so thankful. So yeah, I'm older, I'm wiser, and I'm here to share with you little tidbits of things that have helped my life. No new information for any of you who've been around a while. I am not an expert mother. In fact, it is kind of a joke of the universe that Jessica Hover is making motherhood related content, because it is one of the things that I feel the least qualified in, frequently very insecure in, is my motherhood role and also my ability to communicate about the motherhood role. But here I am, and I love the people that are showing up here. I love being able to interact with you guys on the internet, and my hope from the most genuine, deepest part of my soul is that I can encourage you and I can help make your life as a mom or dad or caretaker a lot easier than it would be without this kind of content. Because 6 years ago when I had Eloise, I could not find this kind of content on the internet, and I felt like a wreck, to be honest. And so I started making this content when I had my next child, and the people came, and I'm so happy, and I would love for more of you to come, and I'd love to just encourage your little selves. So 2 kids under 2, how are you doing? I remember when Jules had just gotten out of the NICU. I was a few weeks in to the 2 kids under 2. I was needing help so bad, so bad, but COVID made it so that people couldn't come, friends couldn't come, family couldn't come, and I desperately needed help from somewhere. And I'm like holding my 2 kids, I'm outside my house, and I see this girl, and she's probably like, I don't know, early 20s. She doesn't have any kids, and I look like a dead person who's holding children alive. Like I'm dead, but I'm propped up somehow. And she is there, and I barely get the words out. How are you? Like clearly not gonna make it. And she says, oh, I'm so tired. And I'm like, oh, you are? Oh my gosh. She said, today has been the longest day. And at this point, I'm thinking, okay, I'm a little engaged here because we might be able to relate, because I don't know what her day has been like, but I could definitely say that my day has been the longest day. And then she said this, I have been watching so many Hallmark movies, and it is just crazy. Like I got to the point where I had watched so many, and then I was done, and I was like, whoa, is it still daytime? I like, oh. I couldn't believe it. How are people anyway, I was like, oh my gosh, wow. I can totally relate. That's almost how my day feels. Only I feel like all of my days have blurred into one day, and I'm never gonna live a life again because I'm a dead person alive holding little babies who cry. No, but I've passed that point. And so that was in the top funny things people have said. Another funny thing that happened just really fast was when I was in labor with Wilson, like actually in labor en route to the hospital. I stopped at Trader Joe's for snacks because food is a high priority. And the woman that was checking me out at the Trader Joe's, I'm in labor, I'm contracting as we're speaking. She said, whoa, you're brave. I would never have kids. And then she proceeded to tell me all the reasons why having kids was a really terrible idea. So that was really funny too. So okay, up there in those things. Anyway, 2 kids under 2, totally real. The survival mode that you go into in that season of life is real. Also, the sweetness of watching your little ones become friends and just like soaking up their young, beautiful, precious smells and squishes and moments of like watching them walk for the first time. Like Wilson didn't walk before Jules was born, but then he walked and it was so precious. Or like hearing him learn to talk, watching Jules learn how to like sit up, and then they're sitting up together and they're snuggling. Those things make it worth it. So what I want you to know as I give you these practical tips is that it's all gonna be worth it. You can definitely do this. You can so do this. And there are things you can do to cope. So it's not gonna be like this horrible time until it gets better. There are things you can do to add some ease to a challenging time. But you are so capable. You're capable of challenging. We can do hard things. That's what they say. The first thing is receive all of the help that is offered to you, and then ask for even more of it. I think one of the main things that helped me along the way was bringing in help for Wilson so that I could focus on Jules. Jules was a premature baby with a whole bunch of reflux issues, and her first few months of life were really, really demanding, really challenging, really demanding, lots of stuff going on with her body that required all of my attention and, or most of my attention, I'll say. I did give my attention to Wilson too. But having people who could devote themselves to Wilson, to play with him, to take him out, he was a bit easier at that time in that I wasn't still breastfeeding him. I quit breastfeeding during my pregnancy so that I could dedicate these beautiful things to my little baby, who actually didn't breastfeed very well. I got him to a point where, or we collectively got him to a point where other people could help him very naturally. And I would say receive as much help as you can for the older one, and also receive help for the baby as well. For Jules, I've told you this before, if you've been around a while, one of the things we do for our babies now is I pump so that someone else can give the baby a bottle from time to time, which allows me to have a stretch of sleep that's longer than just the couple of hours I would get if I was exclusively breastfeeding, which is what I did for my first baby. And it was great, but I didn't sleep ever. And I think that contributed to poor mental health. So ask for help, receive help. Look for things you can plug your child into. If there's like a daycare system or like a preschool, I don't know age-wise how that works, a nanny or a family member that can take the older one for a few hours every day, something where that little one is getting cared for. Even like if your partner takes the older one and you keep the little one, something like that, that's very helpful. But also, my point about asking for more help is that really requires putting yourself out there, and I highly, highly recommend it. I did it because I was in a desperate state with my own situation and with COVID being insane. I put out on the internet, does anyone want to come and stay with us and help us with going from 2 kids to 3 kids? And these amazing girls came and stayed with us. They still live with us. One of them is just now moving out. It was just totally a godsend, heaven send. But it required me being vulnerable to put myself out there and say, I need help. I don't have a lot of money to pay anybody, but we have spare room in our house. Would you want to come? And it worked out. So put yourself out there. I really think it's worth it. Point number 2, this is just a basic one. Wear your baby. If you wear your baby, then the baby's got a good spot to be and you can use your hands to do stuff. Otherwise, having a good rest spot for your baby, like a lounger, I like the Snuggle Me Organic or the DockATot or a baby swing, anything like that, so that the baby can have a safe, secure place to be or be on your chest but not in your arms, and then you have free arms to help the older one. And having the baby in the carrier, it helps if your older one is really trying to explore the baby and is curious and maybe a bit rough with the baby. Then if the babe's on you, you can kind of avoid any sort of risk. Remember that your older child is still a baby too, and that can help you when it comes to being patient, when it comes to kind of your demeanor in which you act towards the older one, because sometimes your impulse, if you see the older one maybe trying to hurt the younger one, whether it's intentional or not, it can be your impulse to be like, don't do that, stop. But if you're realizing you're relating to 2 babies at the same time, it can help you to be like gentle, calm. This is what we do. I know my one friend, she said she had 2 under 2 and the baby was in the car seat, and the older baby got mad at the baby being there, maybe the shared attention or something, and just took the car seat and flipped it upside down. The baby was fine. But after she told me that, I was very careful whenever I put Jules in the car seat. I was very careful to watch where Wilson was so that he wouldn't get curious or aggressive in any way with that. Setting up an area where your toddler can play near to where you're going to be doing your feedings and your baby caretaking. For us, toys, very specific toys have been helpful to us, and those are from the company Lovevery. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They are not sponsoring this video, but their stuff has been above and beyond other toys that we've gotten for our kids. They engage our kids. They're toys that they come back to time and time again. Wouldn't you agree with that? Like anytime we receive a Lovevery box, the kids get really excited to open it. So we had Wilson set up with his own little area of toys, primarily being the Lovevery toys. That was in the living room near to where I take care of the baby, and then he's able to engage with his own stuff. Another tip is including the older one as much as possible. So you can have the older one grab a diaper or help you with a diaper change, depending on how advanced they are. Wilson wasn't really moving. I mean, he was crawling, but I don't remember him being super helpful until a few months in, but just basically including him. Like for whenever I would feed Jules, he would come around and kind of watch and want to be a part of it. I would like teach him how to gently burp her or rub her back or something, because he really wanted to put his hands all over her. But anything you can do to bring him in. I know of one mom, she set up a low-level diaper changing station near her own diaper changing station. So then like whenever she would go to get, how would this work? Whenever she would go to change the baby's diaper, her daughter would come and grab the diaper and the wipes from the little low-level setup and hand it to the mom. You also could give your older baby a baby to take care of. So Wilson had his own little baby doll that he received right around the time of Jules' birth, and that was fun for him. I remember also Eloise, she got a baby doll when Wilson was born, and she had her own little baby carrier, which was really cute. My sister-in-law made it for her, and it was just kind of her own thing that she could be caring for while I was caring for the new baby. Another tip that I'm pretty terrible at, have not mastered, but is a tip that people say, and I think it's real, I just suck at it, is trying to overlap nap time. So if you can get your babies to nap around the same time, that's super helpful, because then you have a really clear window of freedom. When your newborn is new, they nap a lot, so then it's likely the naps will probably overlap at some point whenever the older one's napping. But as they get older, it's a little bit harder to manage the schedule so that happens. I do recommend it. I'm pretty terrible at it, but do it. Figure out a strategy for leaving the house with two. Being inside the house is sometimes very crazy making, especially for the older one. They want to be out and about, exploring, doing things. So you're going to want to get like a stroller that works, or make sure your car setup is very easy. I remember early on, my friend Becca, who's here, she runs this channel with me, she helped me to set up a diaper bag strategy so that every night I was stocking it for the things we needed the next day, so that it was super easy to leave the house. Anything you can do to minimize the steps between getting ready and leaving, that's gonna help you so much. Then you can take maybe you have a double stroller. For me, I have the Hello Mockingbird double stroller. That's super great. Or now we have a big car that fits multiple car seats. Before we had that, it was a little complicated. What I mean is I have 3 kids in car seats and I couldn't fit them all in my little car. But now we have a big car. So now we can do it. Anyway, try and figure out ways to leave the house. I also had a baby who loved to be carried. That was Jules. Jules loved to be in the carrier, loved it. So then my strategy would be that I would wear Jules and then I would put Wilson in the stroller. Whatever you can do to leave the house, recommend it. Maybe put out like a blanket at the park or something, and they can just kind of mosey around the grass, play, and you can be outside, take deep breaths. I think for a new mom, or for a mom freshly postpartum, fresh air and walking helps the mood so much. I also would listen to podcasts while I walked. Anything you can do to keep your mood up is gonna help for the coping part. Snacks. Snacks are such a good thing. Snacks occupy the time of the older one, and it gives them something to do. When their blood sugar's up, they're feeling better. So I would just say have lots of snacks on hand that you can offer, especially when it comes time to feed the baby. If you're breastfeeding or formula feeding, you want to avoid situations where the other one's getting hungry too. And so if you can have finger foods on hand, that's very helpful. I would say take your expectations and lower them. Thankfully for me, and I mean this honestly, I had a friend who told me that her first year of life with 2 under 2 was the worst year of her life. That's a big statement. I did not experience that. But I think part of why I didn't experience that is because I had that expectation in my head that this could very well be the hardest thing I've ever done. And so if that's where you are, it's hard to go lower than that. And then I was only uphill. Maybe that's like a pessimistic view, but you don't have to make this your year of accomplishing everything. You don't need to have the perfect house. You don't need to have the perfect body. You don't need to have the perfect Montessori education system. The playroom does not need to be perfect. You don't need the walls perfectly painted. Like, I don't know what the things are that make it like this is the standard, but feel free to lower them, because what you want to do is get through this year. You want to be alive on the other side of it. You want to avoid depression if you can. You want to make sure your kids are alive and thriving on the other side of this as well. So whatever you can do to do that, I think that's the most important thing. So taking care of your own mental well-being, that's important. Utilize the help from a doctor or a therapist if you need it, trusted friends, family, whatever you can do to be well. Go for walks. Dance parties are very helpful. In my house, a little short dance party can be really something to, I mean, you've probably seen if you're on Very Good Mother's Club, I like those. But there's something that can get your energy up, and they can entertain a little kid, and they can bring laughter and joy, and it's just a short, quick solution. But what I'm saying is you've got to take the expectations, lower them, and then find little ways to cope in the midst of the challenging times, and it will help a lot. My one friend, she said Target was her place. Her way of coping with first year with 2 under 2 was load them up, take them to Target, grab a coffee, and walk around and take deep breaths. And if that works, then that works. You got to do it. Talk about what you feel. Figure out what's going on inside of you and tell someone. Tell your friend, tell your sister, tell your partner, tell a therapist that you're paying to listen to. But I think it's so important that during this time when you already feel fragile, you already feel maybe overwhelmed, underslept, that you're not keeping those emotions inside of you and letting them fester. So for example, one of the things that I felt really strongly early on, but was able to talk about and actually make better, was I felt really bad for Jules and Wilson. So I have Eloise, Jules, and Wilson. Eloise had 4 years of being an only child, which meant 4 years of pretty much all of my attention. Then I had Wilson, and then right afterwards I had Juliet. And I felt bad for them. I felt like now I couldn't give them all of my time. I couldn't devote as much breastfeeding time to them as I did to my first child. I couldn't read books. With Eloise, I had this like long, drawn out bedtime routine that I thought was so beautiful and so necessary. And then with my next kids, I mean, with Jules, she has like almost no bedtime routine. I'm like, good night, I love you. Throw her in her crib. See you tomorrow. Thankfully, she's adapted. But no, I felt this guilt that like, oh my gosh, these kids, they don't get as much of my attention. And I was able to talk about that with Sean, with Becca, with my sister Meredith, who many of you know from this channel. And all of them, basically all of them, brought the same exact perspective. And it was like, hey, everything's okay. Not only do they get your attention, which you're giving them a lot of, they get each other. And the gift of having each other is really humongous. And so even though Eloise had more of the one-on-one time, now they're all getting the gift of one another time, and that's really special. And I was like, okay, cool, that's really good perspective. But if I just let that eat me up inside, then at the end of every day, I felt like I failed because I couldn't give them all the same amount of attention that I gave Eloise when she was an only child, which doesn't make any sense. And by the way, I'm talking primarily about my relationships with the 2 under 2, but I still had Eloise home with me the whole time too, and wanted to give my attention to her and my energy and care to her. So talk about how you feel. If you start to feel depressed, talk about it. If you feel like you need a break or you need friendship time, or I don't know, sometimes you can't find the solutions to the situation you're in, but just talking about the problem brings some relief and you feel a bit better. So talk about it. As much as you're able, try and devote some one-on-one time to your older child or older children if you have it. If you can build into your life at all, like a one-on-one date with each other child other than the baby, that's super significant. And I know that it's challenging. Just if you're able to build it in there, I think it's really helpful. I think it's good for them, and I also think it's good for you to feel like you're connected to each of them and that you're doing, you know, the job that you want to do. For me, a tip that is proving to be very helpful, but I know that also some personalities won't care about this: simplify. Simplify your life. Get rid of excess crap that you don't need. I got to a point in the last year with these 2 little ones where I told my family, like, I don't want to make decisions. I don't want any more decisions to make than the ones that I already have to make. So I went through and I got rid of most of my clothes. I was like, I just want getting dressed in the morning to be so easy. I want the clothes to fit me well. I want to feel good in them, and I want to have just a few options. Almost like when I'm on a trip and my clothes are just in a suitcase and I just pick out the things that I premeditated and I put them on my body. simplify, like simplify your kids' room, simplify your nursery. You don't need excess everything if excess is gonna cause you stress. You don't have enough energy in your body to let it go to the stress. So I would say simplify as much as possible, be organized where you can be, like the diaper bag thing, having it ready for you to go. Simplify and be organized where it's helpful. Again, take this and like mold it to your personality, because some people are hyper organized and that feels really good to them, and some people tend to be more laid back and that feels really good to them. So find your sweet spot. Find little things that bring you pleasure. Little things. This isn't your time to like go on a vacation to Hawaii unless you have the resources to go on vacation to Hawaii and bring the help that you're gonna need to go on vacation to Hawaii. But you can find little things that bring you joy. One little thing that brings me great joy is this drink right here. What is this? LaCroix Limoncello. Love this, love this. And I started having this a lot this year, just this year. I think it's new this year anyway, but love it. Find little things. If drinking coffee in the morning brings you joy, then do not miss your coffee in the morning. Don't. Because it brings you joy. You need little pleasures. If going for a walk brings you joy, or doing like a little dance video, or I don't know, for me, watching funny shows was super helpful, super joyful, very kind of like entertaining, but also it gave me a way to escape my situation in a really kind of healthy way. It wasn't like I was escaping as in my kids need me, they're crying for my attention and I'm watching Netflix. It wasn't like that. But late in the night when I'm already exhausted from a long day and I'm still feeding my little baby, I would turn on a little show and just kind of have it playing in the background. And it was a way of bringing joy and entertainment and laughter, real laughter, like make your body laugh. Find ways to make your body laugh, even fake a laugh. I went to this, this is funny, this tells you about my personality, but I went to this conference all about mental health last year or the year before. And one of the things that one of the doctors had us do, this whole big room of us, he had us fake laugh for 10 seconds. And by the end of fake laughing, we were real laughing. And then he showed us a scan of what a brain does when you laugh. And it's like the most beautiful thing. It does good things. It stimulates your brain in a good way. And it makes sense. That's why they end every Peppa Pig episode with all of them laughing together, because that's what we want our life to be. We want our life to be a big Peppa Pig episode that ends in laughter. And it should be. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we should laugh more. So find little ways to laugh, find little ways to bring pleasure. If there's a good drink that you love, like with dinner, like Sean loves, what does he love again? Well, certain kinds of beer or something. Like basically find something that makes you happy. It could be a little thing, and add it to your life and enjoy it. In the morning, sometimes when I'm feeling really overwhelmed, I turn on nice music, or I toss my kids in the stroller, a real toss, and they sit in the stroller and we go for a walk outside, and the fresh air and the nice music makes me happy. And that's the only reason why I do it. Sprinkle some Cheerios all around them. Jules has got Cheerios all around her whole body when we go for walks. And do I care? I don't care. So sometimes I want to choose joy, and then other times I want to scream and punch. And so what I do is I punch my bed and scream into my pillow. I've also screamed alone in my car before, but I feel a little weird because I still feel like someone on the outside might be able to hear me in some way, or I just look like a psycho person. But anyway, so if you have aggression, feel free to get it out. You're just gonna wanna get it out in like good ways. And if you feel like your heart is racing because you're so angry or stressed about something, another little pro tip from someone who's experienced this feeling, run your heart out, or like ride a bike really fast. You wanna do something physical, or have a dance party, like I said. Do something physical that gets your heart rate up to the spot where it feels like it is in your mind, and then it will like dissipate like this. I don't know scientifically what's happening, but I know that this is real. And I had a psychologist, one of those, confirm that this was the right thing to do. Okay, managing our stress is all part of this. Okay, you're gonna do so great. You can do this, we can do this. And then you get through it, and then it's so cute, and they become friends, and they just like, Wilson keeps trying to climb onto Jules's back, even when she's standing. You know, she's a cute little chubby thing. She's learning to stand against chairs. I came in yesterday and Wilson is trying to climb onto her back while she's standing. He's got his legs off the ground and is seeing how much weight she can hold. And she just laughs. Anyway, it's cute. It's cute. Your kids are gonna be so cute soon. So, I mean, I know that they're so cute now, and you do wanna soak it up and try to soak it up. Like take moments where you're like, oh, this is so beautiful. I can't believe this is my family. And then when you're overwhelmed, just look ahead to the future and think, it's gonna get better. It's gonna get easier. I'm not crazy. One day I will go on a vacation to Hawaii. One day I will watch so many Hallmark movies that I just can't believe it's still today. That'll be fun, right? Okay, you're doing great. I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.